You?
Good. How are you, Kristen? I'm super excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you, and I'm excited to talk to you and catch up. I saw you at the What Women Want conference. It
Yes.
was such a joy to have you. What was your biggest takeaway from that when you came to visit us in Atlanta?
Yes, yes. And it was such a beautiful thing for us to be in the same place at the same time, because as we know, this doesn't happen at all.
Right.
So, yeah, I think honestly, Kristen, and you'll find this interesting, but because I come from such a male-dominated background, engineering, tech, I mean, at Georgia Tech, when I was there, it was close to 60% male. And so
Mm.
I really didn't I didn't really feel as much of that feminine energy. If I were to be completely honest with you, I definitely think that that was missing in my life in a pretty big way. And so I think the biggest takeaway for me was to see all these amazing badass women at various stages of their
Mm-hmm.
journey, right? Some, obviously are building or running multi-million dollar businesses. Some had just started. So I definitely saw the spectrum, but all go-getters and all trying to help other women up. And to me, that there was just something amazingly beautiful about seeing so many substantial females in one place. And I just think that I don't have enough of that.
No, you know what? I agree with you. I was having this conversation with someone else. Is that sometimes I feel like in an attempt to, because I work in a male dominated industry too. Entertainment is very much a male dominated industry still, even though we've been making progress. I mean, my film school when I was in film school was 80% male, 20% female class ratio.
Right.
So I've always felt kind of I've had to be one of the boys or not be so much of a girl. And it's very refreshing to get an opportunity to have community with other women and really, and like you said, I'm glad you pointed out such a diverse group of women of diverse ages. So, Shinjini, when did you know that your mission was to empower um, women, and particularly women immigrants? When did you know that that was what you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I will say, Kristen, I think it really stemmed from me not having a role model and not having someone who I could frankly relate to. I don't even want to say role model because, as you know, I mean, immigrant women have been making strides forever, both in America and, abroad. So, accomplishments, I don't think that was the issue because I can today name 10 immigrant women just literally changing the game. So that's not the issue, but I just had a
Mm-hmm.
hard time relating to them. Maybe it's because they never showed that side of them. They never showed a side that was struggling. They never showed a
Mm-hmm.
side that was vulnerable.
Right.
I got the perception that they just aced all their engineering classes, and I got a D. I got a D
Right.
in a class. And so I think I frankly was looking for a female, and again, female because that's who I naturally gravitate to. I was looking for a female to fill that gap. To fill that, it's just that I'm not alone, number one, but number two, it's inspiring, right? Like for me to
Mm-hmm.
see this other woman who looks like me, who is like me, just, making her name for herself, changing the game, like that would inspire me in such a way. And so because I didn't see that, and then I did my kind of 2+2, and I was like, oh my gosh, I speak, I dance, I do all these things. And I really think God saw this future for me before I did. And so I'm just living up to his vision, I think.
Well, what a beautiful vision. I mean, it's interesting because I think, history is written by the winners and it's written by the people who are in charge. And I think, there's this phrase they toss around when you're in college, the great man way of writing history, where the man is foolproof and he has his vision and he's going for it and nothing can crack that facade. And I think it does a disservice to people because, like you said, you have had moments of vulnerability. You've had moments of really trying to show your softer, tender side, and there wasn't always room for that in the narrative of your life, but you've kind of reclaimed that. What was the most difficult part of of becoming the go-getter that you are? What did you really have to sort of let go of to do that?
I think it really was the idea that I don't see anyone else doing it, because what that constantly reinforced for me was that I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm alone, right? And so I think there's sort of this danger and this like scary thing about doing something that no one else is doing in the way that I'm doing it, right? And so I think that really was the danger, the danger was that, I am sort of trying to do something that hasn't been done, and it's so hard, and it's just the pressure, the pressure of like going out on my own, I think you could say, was huge. And the fact that I definitely didn't really have support in the beginning. I think now people are like, I always knew and this and that, but I'm like, it's just BS to me, because my thing is, if you're not there from day one, I don't really, because anyone can come on board now. Anyone can come on board when I have 1 million followers, right? But the problem is when you have 0. So, I think that was the struggle.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with that when they don't feel a certain amount of support. I think in past generations, people felt more supported. There was more of a community, and sometimes this word of community, and you are social media savvy. We create communities, but what does that mean? Now that we, how many Chihuahua loving communities can we have? What does community mean? So obviously, talking about you and what you do, you go into communities of women of color, of immigrants, and what is your goal in working with these communities of millennials of color? What is your goal there?
I really think it is to show them a role model that they never had. I really think that is a goal because, growing up, it's interesting, like, because now I'm sure you hear too, Kristen, that representation is the buzzword, right? That's what everyone is talking about, right? In Hollywood, everywhere, right? That is the buzzword. It's funny because growing up, I didn't really even pay attention to that word, not because I didn't believe in it, but because I felt so hopeless that there's no one there, that I'm like, why even bother like trying to look for this? So in a way it was a very like dangerous thing. Like I was so essentially hopeless that there was no one there, that why even bother talking about representation, right? And so I see that with the girls today. They're like, I'm an engineer, like who's my person? So I always start our conversations with that I'm you. That I am an engineer. A lot of them are studying engineering, computer science, and again, feeling lost because they're like, they're all dudes. They finish their work in 5 seconds. And that was my life. Every guy that I studied with literally wrapped up his work in 5 seconds. And here I am, my 10th hour. And I'm like, am I dumber than them? Like what's going on? And it's not.
Right.
Not true. It's just that typically what I've seen, again, this is not a generalization. It's just, it tends to be true, is women and girls are a lot more meticulous, and the way we approach our work is very like, whereas some guys I know like just random. And I'm like, I don't do that. I don't work like that. So for me, Kristen, number one is that role model. And then number two is that you are your own role model. So I sort of show them me, and then I'm like, now you do you, and I think that's really powerful. And then just that I'm standing on my own voice, and there's something inspiring about that to them. So,
do you feel pressure when you're a role model? Like, do you feel like you're role modeling wrong sometimes? Somebody said that to me the other day. Not that I was doing badly, but they were like, you're a role model. When you walk on a red carpet, because I'm plus size, and that has its own baggage. Yeah. And I was like, part of me went, I'm a role model. Like people are actually paying attention. Do you ever feel like that some sort of insecurity around that, or how do you negotiate that?
Yeah, no, for sure. No, look, I think being a role model is tough. I think the way I look at it, and if you've seen my tweets recently, Kristen, that's what I say, is I'm my own role model. So instead of me trying to be someone for everyone, which is just not possible, I have to be that for myself, so anything I say, anything I do, anything I wear, my biggest metric is, can I defend that? If I can, then I'm good.
Defend it.
Yeah, defend
Why
it.
defend it? Why defend it? It's an interesting choice of word there, Shinjini. I
Yeah,
have to ask you why defend it. Are you
because
going to pull out your sword and lop someone's head off?
yeah, no, because it's my choice,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm supporting that choice. I'm defending that choice, you
Uh,
know, is how I look at it, So yeah, for me, that's the number one thing because because I mean, by the way, now as my numbers are growing every day, Kristen, I'm blocking people, not because I want to, but because they're almost making me.
you're getting trolled.
Yeah, trolled or like, oh, you're tearing this down. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm stating a fact, because a lot of women seem to be triggered by the idea of male privilege. But I'm like, you know what? This is a fact. Women
Right.
are under attack in many different ways every single day. And if I don't call that out, who will? Right. So I'm not here to be the, politically correct person all the time. And so in that situation, I defended myself. I responded back to her. But if she chooses to, listen, not listen, that's not my problem. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up male privilege because it's something I think every woman has grappled with in this life, whether she's in our age group or she's a Gen Xer, or she's a
Right.
baby boomer.
Yeah.
And I love that you call yourself a go-getter, but sometimes that's kind of the positive part of the idea. But then, oh, you're pushy. Oh, you're overly ambitious. You're bitchy.
Yes.
You're this, you're that. And I think sometimes women have a hard time kind of dealing with being compared to a male lens. Have you found that? How do you deal with that? I'm interested to know how you deal with that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the biggest thing for me is just this idea of like, again, I am doing my own thing, and I'm playing this game my own way. Right. And so I am no longer answerable to what you think I should say or do or, things like that. So I think that is my solution because at the end of the day, I'm charting my own path, and I don't want to be answerable to other people's thoughts and ideas of how I should be, So I think personally that's how I deal with it. To be honest, I don't really entertain those comments of like, oh, you're like this and you're like that. And, I'm doing me, and every day. And that's what I ask myself, before going to bed is, am I happy with what I'm doing? Am I happy with who I am? Am I happy with how I've lived life today? And if the answer is yes, I'm solid.
So you personally check in with yourself each and every day?
Yes.
So how do you do that? I want to know how it is day by day. Do you so first of all, I have to ask, do you wake up being the glorious person you are, or do you have to rev yourself up?
It's interesting, Kristen. I will say that my energy is natural. I will say that I really believe that. And that's something I'm very proud of because these last 2 years, so business is now almost 2.5. It's been really Thank you. No, it's exciting. It is exciting. And I know we did a lot of that at the conference, just cheering each other on for milestones, but it's been rough, Kristen. Year one, just getting paid speaking opportunities was a struggle, to be completely honest. Getting into my first agency was a struggle. I literally got told to my face, that you're different. What you're doing is different, AKA, in our industry, different is not always.
It's not sellable.
Right, exactly.
If they don't know how to sell it, then yeah. Or if it's too pioneering, I get it.
You know what I mean? So yeah, so that was different. So I pushed my way in, and I became I had one of the higher bookings as a new speaker. So that was exciting. But at every point there were roadblocks, and then also income wise, I'm coming from a very high income bracket, my, last job, this and that. And so for me to it's a humble pill, it's a humble pill to be like, okay, I'm at half, and struggling, so I think that was like a process as well. So I think just all of it combined, has been really humbling for me, so I think basically what I'm saying is my energy had a real shot at being completely squashed. in these last 2 years. You know what I mean? Because I think when you're successful and you're winning, it's very easy to be like this, right? It's very easy to be happy, to be beautiful, to put on your lipstick, to do your hair, right? Because you're in that mindset. You know,
You're riding the wave.
Yeah, exactly. You're hot, you're beautiful, you're rich, right? When you're not hot, beautiful, or rich, and you have that energy, that to me is a lot more impressive. You know, because then it's a mental thing, right? So then it's like, this is what I believe about myself, regardless of what my current situation is. So for me, these last 2.5 years have been that, you know, have been this like, oh shit, I know what my current situation is. It may not be the best, but I also know who I'm trying to become. And that's what I'm going to focus on.
So who are you trying to become?
Honestly, I mean, many things. I mean, my title is like, now it's like media proprietor, basically creating media properties, empowering media properties, selling media properties, right? That's like at the core of it, you know, the company, the brand, the this and that. But, you know, at the end of the day, I've thought about this a lot, Kristen, and I really think these last 2.5 years have been humbling for that reason. You know, at the end of the day, I really hope that this is what I always am, happy, energetic, empowering, and motivated. Like if I could do those 4 things, and then of course give back, you know, friends and family. So I also think one thing about our industry, entertainment, it's very isolating. It's very isolating, right? Like
we lost Shinjini. Oh, Shinjini. Well, we'll be back on again in a second with Shinjini. I hope she comes back. We were just getting into the meat of the conversation. I'm going to give it a minute or two. Hopefully she will come right back. But do check her out online, folks, Shinjini Das. She has a great website. You can learn more about her speaking. You can learn more about, she's multilingual as well. And she's a fascinating person to talk to. So I hope we can get her back on in just a second. I'm going to take a look at our comments while we're waiting and see. I'd like to give a nice shout out to Trudy Simmons. Thank you, Trudy, for joining us. And I see Judy. Hopefully, let me see what's going on. Thank you for bearing with me with the tech stuff again.
I'm back.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good. Yay.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. Oh my gosh.
You know, putting the up and upheaval, but what we were discussing, you know, when we're aspirational and not necessarily quite where we want to be.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think what you're speaking to is that sometimes there is a sort of a fake it till you make it, but not being fake about it.
Right, exactly. You know, and my mantra really, Kristen, over these last 2.5 years, which is why I'm super like happy that everything happened, because my new mantra is become it. You know, and if I can do that, then I am successful. You know, so I think my new way of living now is all mental. And it's so funny because, you know, someone the other day actually told me, he or she said that, I don't know if you've ever verbalized all of these dreams that are happening for you, but I think because you think about it so much, it is all happening, you know? So I think for me, these last 2.5 years have been like, people can take, because I've been like super dramatic, people can take away my whatever, my this, my that, but they can't take away my mind.
Right.
And that's what I control. You know, right. And so for me, that has been a huge blessing, because I mean, I faced just massive roadblocks. Agency, the price per speech is capped, right? So like there's a very hard cap. And I was like, how do you like what? And then like that ended up sort of not working out and we had to part ways. And then I was like, oh my God, how do I get engagements on my own? You know, I don't even have a sizable social media following. Started from zero. You know, and I'm the type where my content didn't immediately go viral, unlike some people's where they're just viral, you know, stars, you know.
Right. They pull the slot machine and all of a sudden they've got 3 sevens. Yeah.
Yeah. So, or, you know, so for me, it's very much been like, honestly, difficult. So all I've had is, you know, my mindset.
Now, you're a big advocate for loving yourself, which I think cannot be said enough. How do you stay in love with yourself, Shinjini? How do you do that?
You know, and it's funny, Kristen, like every day, that's what I have said for the last 2.5 years, is that what I have now, like, this is it. Because I think what
Mhm.
happens in our industry, because I've already like seen, like cautionary tales of like, do
Yeah.
not do this, do
Hmm.
not become like this. They become super caught up in all, just not even wealth, but the recognition,
Hmm.
awards, whatever, what people think of you, how many autographs you're signing every day. And I'm like, that's not like, none of that is like what I'm trying to do, you know?
Really big external validators.
Yeah, I think none of that is like what I'm trying to live for, So I think for me, the biggest lesson and sort of way of life is what I am right now. Nothing is it. This is it. So that's why in the last 2.5 years, work from home, not even my own home, family home. So I think it's been a humble pill, a lot of my friends in apartments and they have their own homes. But for me, I'm like, but this is it. This is what I want to do. So I think that's been really humbling.
Yeah, I think it's hard when you're not always on the time schedule that society sets for you,
Yeah.
out of college, then you're married, then you have a
Yeah.
house,
Yes.
and as women we have serious concerns about childbearing, whether we want to or not, and the timing of that in terms of a career. So it's hard to kind of buck the system and buck the usual paths that people find themselves going down. And I guess, it's interesting. What would be your biggest tip for some woman who maybe feels dissatisfied with her life, doesn't know what she wants, doesn't know how to go for what she wants, and needs the courage to do so, or just maybe even needs a fresh perspective? What would you tell her to do?
Yeah, great question. I think I would tell her to visualize. I think that's a really strong word. I think
Mhm.
she should visualize what she wants, where she wants to go, how she wants to get there, what she wants her ideal financial situation to look like. I'm telling you, Kristen, women are not talking enough about money. And I know this is something that
Amen. Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
God.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Let's go
Because
down that rabbit hole.
yeah, no, like Monica was amazing for me for that reason. Like one thing she said, Kristen, I literally ask myself every day is, did I ask for money today? Because if I didn't, I don't have a business. And I think that was a very transformational line, because it's true, And so many women don't even know where they want to be financially. So obviously they don't know how to get there, right? So I think I would ask that. I would have them ask that, and I think I would just have them reflect on these things, is who am I, what do I want to be, how much money do I want to make, let's answer these questions, right? And once you answer these questions, then I would have them dig into themselves. What am I really good at, what do I naturally gravitate to, what makes me really happy? And I think people complicate these questions, but actually the answers are very simple. Like what makes me happy is like you already know that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm so glad you brought up money, and one thing I love about your site, because I've looked at your site, I've studied you. You
is
ask,
it updating?
well, you talk about talking about your speaker stuff and your speaker marketing. What is your budget? You do not use words. You get there really fast, and I
Yes.
find that refreshing because a lot of people want something for nothing. And
Yes.
it took me a long time not to be the Costco sample woman of acting,
Yeah.
And I think like you said, I agree with you. As women, we don't talk about money as enough, and especially with the pay gap, what it is, and the pay gap is very much also contingent, not just upon your gender, but it can be widened by your race, your ethnicity, whether you're a person of color, your sexuality, your demonstrated sexual preference, your age. All of those things can be, that pay gap can be exacerbated. And I'm glad that you brought up money, because so many people, I think, talk about pursuing their dream, but they don't talk about the reality of what they're going to earn.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And I think it's important that women really have honest conversations with themselves and trusted advisors. So who's your most trusted advisor?
You know, it's funny. I have a couple, Kristen, in different
Oh,
industries. Um,
Shinjini's playing hide and go seek with me.
oh my goodness.
We
She's just
lost her
going in and out.
again. Oh no. Well, I'm going to check the comments while we get Shinjini back.
Oh my goodness.
I seriously do want to know who influences Shinjini, because she's so influential as well. You know, she talks to people all over the world. I'm going to look at our comments really quick and see what is going on there. Hopefully, let's see. Not much in the comments right now. I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Anne. And Anne, if you have any questions for Shinjini when we get her back, I would love to know your questions. You can still see her. I can't see her. I can't hear Shinjini. But I feel Shinjini's energy in my heart. You know, if you ever get a chance to meet Shinjini in person, you absolutely should. I love talking to her through Facebook Live right now, but she is in a room. Shinjini is absolutely electric. She's got a wonderful energy, but she also is, you know, down to earth. She keeps it real. I know Be Live is in trouble, isn't it, Judy? Oh, you know what, though? I have to say, this speaks to our willingness to experiment. And sometimes you fail forward, and I feel like we're failing forward right now. But you know what? We got out of our rut. We wanted to see each other's faces. We wanted interactivity. Shinjini, does she have a public forum? I would suggest her website. I'm going to shinjinidas.com is her website. That is her name. I will put it up while we're trying to Shinjini Das, the go-getter girl. And seriously, check out her website. Check out the work she does with women all over the world. Check out the work she does with millennials. It's amazing. The thing about it is that you, I think, have the reach that you want to have. And Shinjini's really shown us that if you want a global reach, you can have it. And that's what's inspiring about Shinjini, among all the wonderful other things, is you can have that global reach. If you have any, I don't want people to be dismayed because we're having technical difficulties. But if you have questions for Shinjini, I'm sure you can put them in the comments, and Shinjini will certainly respond. She's very, very social media savvy and very fun. And I'm sure she would love to have questions if you want to address those questions to Shinjini. Judy, let me know what you want me to do regarding our broadcast. Let's see if we can get her back on for a few more minutes, hopefully. I feel a little teased. I so wanted to know who influences Shinjini. I really wanted to know, like, what her favorite book is. You know, that's the things that make people, who are their mentors? What are they reading? What experiences they have? You know, we don't get like time for that on social media, just like swapping memes around, like, you know, swapping our grumpy cat memes. We need to have these deeper conversations with people. I'm checking around here. So, yep. Want to give a big shout out to my mom as well. She just called me on Facebook Messenger. She's probably like, what's going on? Yep. But, you know, we always, you know, Judy, I know you're watching, Judy Goss.
Hey, I'm back.
Oh my God, Shinjini, first of all, I have to thank you from like the bottom of my heart for helping us to fail forward today.
Oh my goodness. No worries. No, I know we're almost out of time. So I did want to answer your question. So I think Anne said, do I have a public forum? I'm not sure what that means. Is that like a conference or
Well, I gave her your website. Do you have like any events coming up where she can see you? Tell me what's coming up for you, because I know you're busy.
Yes. And I will say, Kristen, my website is actually in the works of being updated right now. I've just been working on so much other stuff that unfortunately that isn't done yet, but it is, like, I've seen proofs and it looks amazing. So you do have to, You do have to check back when it's live. But yeah, so first memoir at 26, because that's what a go-getter does, Unapologetically Shinjini. It is an ebook available at www.unapologeticallyshinjini.com, and it is soon gearing up for its Amazon launch. So we're very excited about that. So Anne, please check that out. I know she follows me everywhere as well, because I know her and I recognize her name. So I'm sure she follows me everywhere, so she will find out about that. And then my book tour, which I told Judy about. So we are doing that starting in Atlanta on March 28th, which I'm again super stoked about. So that's those are my babies right now. So yes, public forum, definitely everything is in the works. I mean, conference, merchandise, you know, my own stores, I mean, all of it, to empower go-getters to be that motivational and relatable, inspirational lifestyle brand. Because I think so many inspirational brands talk up here, and it's just really hard to connect with them.
I'm about to say something terrible.
Yeah.
But some people put the ass in aspirational, and you definitely don't do that. Like, you're so relatable. Some people.
No, I know. No, you're right. You're right. No, and I feel that way as well. So yes, public forum. Answer to your question, role model. You know what? I love. I love any really woman and or human being doing their thing, you know, and doing it with integrity and doing it well. That's something that I appreciate and love. I think, you know, role models, obviously, you know, Oprah, the big timers, but also just, again, the everyday person, you know, who has a goal, who's trying to make something better of their life than they have, you know. And it's so funny, yesterday, Judy and I talked, actually money, about a lot of things. And we were like, hey, how are you getting paid? I love those conversations with any female, again, female, but also male, right? Because we want to know, is there a gap? Is there a disparity? Is there a reason that he's getting paid more? Is it because he has more skills? Because sometimes, I guess in some freak way, it is justified, right? Depending on what the job is or what, but I have to know those things, you know? So for me, like, any money conversation is always a good thing.
No, I think it's important for women to sit down with men and actually learn how men accomplish things.
Yes.
Not that there's a better way to accomplish things, but, you know, learning a few of those tips and how they got to where they got.
Yes.
And not just saying, ooh, male privilege bad.
Yes.
It's an important thing. And I'm glad that you brought that up. And I feel that way myself too. Now, Shinjini, where do we obviously you're on Twitter.
Yes.
Right? You're on Twitter,
yes.
And you're on Facebook, you're
yes.
on Instagram, so people can connect with you that way.
Yes.
And then you're updating your website, you're going on book tour. Wow. Well, thank you for your time with us today. And thank you for being a good sport with all of this. And I know once we get our game going a little bit more, we will certainly have you back and hopefully not have as much. We'll have just as much fun, but not as much tech issue.
No, you're good. I appreciate it. And I did want to answer, I think Judy asked where, March 28th in Atlanta. And so we are right about ready to sell tickets for that. I have like a pre-sale list going. So if you are in Atlanta, your friends are in Atlanta, you identify as go-getters, because I'm not in the business of making people go-getters. I'm in the business of empowering people who already are go-getters, because I can't do what you don't want to do, you know? So.
Right. No, it's, I think that's smart, because some people are looking for a savior, or they're looking for to change them.
Right.
And that's just not a business you want to really be in.
Exactly. So my thing is, they're like, can you help me? And I was like, I can only help you if you want to help yourself, you know, and so, yeah, but no, thank you. And thank you, Judy. And I'm just so honored that you keep thinking of me. Seriously. I mean, both of you are doing it, you know, I would say in a big way. And it just means a lot, because for me, I mean, finding a way into this business was hell, you know, it really was. And now to like see the other side, I literally have like writers on big comedy shows being like, how do you get followers? And I'm like, this is insane. Like, I watch the shows he writes about, you know, so like, it's crazy.
I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see your next crazy update, and I'm sure that will be soon. So thank you so much, Shinjini, for being with us. We really appreciate you. We're going to have another great show next week. Judy's going to surprise me with who that is. Actually, I think it's Catherine Marshall. This is how blonde I am. I don't quite know what date it is. I think
She's amazing.
You remember Catherine Marshall from the conference, Shinjini?
Yes, yeah, she's amazing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Catherine next week. We're going to be with Catherine. So thank you so much, Shinjini, for boldly going with us where What Women Want is just beginning to tread. And we love you. I'm going to give you a great big blow of a kiss.
Thank you so much. And I do want to share actually an exciting piece of news, and it's a great way to close. So I am going to the Legends for Charity benefit dinner to benefit St. Jude's tomorrow for the Atlanta Super Bowl. Yeah.
Wow. I love that. Well, make sure to send us some pictures and we'll share that. Tag us in.
Yes, no, I will. And it's also an event company, Kristen, founded by a female, which is super rare in the NFL world, as you know.
Yeah.
So she's an inspiration. So it's a media sort of event production company, and it's her event where we're toasting to St. Jude's. You know, we're raising money for St. Jude's. So in association.
What a great cause. I love it.
I know. And to be at an NFL, like I'm just stoked. I'm so excited.
Okay, so are you a Patriots fan or are you a Rams fan?
Oh my goodness. Don't ask me these things. I am learning my way around football, and I don't feel qualified to answer yet, but I am learning about the game, and I can say that.
I got it. I'm going to probably disenfranchise half our viewers right now. Rams. I'm in LA, but it's okay. All right, Shinjini, you have a great week and keep us updated. We love you. You have a great day. And everyone, thank you so much for watching What Women Want, the live interactive experience. And boy, do we have an experience today with Shinjini. Thank you so much. And you all have a great evening. Love you. Bye.
Bye.